Right. Now, this afternoon, the Ghana Health Service has ordered the Secretary-General of the African Continental Free Trade Area, Wamkele, to remain in isolation and serve the full 7-day mandatory time for persons who test positive for COVID-19. Mr. Mene tested positive on arrival at the Kotoka International Airport on his return from a trip abroad, but he's been contesting this positive result, insisting the testing systems may be defective. Mr. Mene took the Johnson & Johnson vaccine 2 weeks ago and tested negative for COVID just hours before embarking on his trip to Ghana. His disagreement with a positive result at Kotoka International Airport got him to conduct 2 other PCR tests, both of which came out negative. Mr. Mene is not the only one contesting the accuracy of results at the airport, as scores of people said to have tested positive remain in quarantine in government facilities or in hotels. But in a statement from the Ghana Health Service, all of those identified at the airport are to be positive must observe the directives to isolate and ask that the AfCFTA advises the Secretary-General to observe the same. Joining us now is the Chairman of Risk Communication and Community Engagement of Ghana's COVID-19 response, Dr. Dacosta Abuaje. Dr. Abuaje, thank you for your time. Please explain to us what has necessitated this statement. Hello, Dr. Abuaje. I'm hoping you can hear us.
I can hear you. We just want to reinforce that our system is robust and we trust the system. The briefings I have from the occurrence at the Kotoka International Airport surrounding the Secretary-General's refusal to obviously accept the result. And so once you test at the airport, you are under our control, or you are our patient. So we take you through our protocols. So it's exactly what we have done. So we gave him home isolation, which will be given to many of our patients. So it means that he's supposed to fully comply with the directive from His Excellency and the protocols of the country until such a time that we would discharge him from quarantine.
Okay. You said you trust your systems and that they are robust.
Yes.
So how do you know this? How do you check to ensure that your systems are robust?
Thank you. So the regulators, for example, the FDA, do validation at the airport often, and they have, they normally do, I think, once a month or something. So they do it. And bear in mind, he's not the only person who has tested positive and has been confirmed by another PCR. We also, obviously, we do, we validate the positives that we get from the airport through genomic sequencing and others. So it's just to reiterate.
Can you explain that, please? Can you explain that? You said you validate the positives you get at the airport through genomic sequencing. What's that?
Okay, so normally what happens is once you test the positive, we want to know the type of strain that you are carrying. So researchers at the University of Ghana will take the sample and take it there to validate whether obviously it is real positive or not. So that's why we take patients through an assessment before so at that point, we are still under quarantine or isolation to make sure that you do not expose, obviously, persons around you. So it's exactly what we have done for the Secretary-General. So we are just being careful that obviously he tested positive and he needs to be in isolation. We do not accept any test that he conducted because when our public health system takes the positive, it is the system, that's our public health system, that should validate the same, obviously, the other positive. Or, what I'm just trying to say is that when you test positive, our system will now validate to make sure that you are negative before we obviously discharge you from isolation. So currently he's our patient and he still needs to be in isolation.
Okay. We'll come to the home isolation issue in a minute, but I'm wondering, so you said that you validate these through genomic sequencing. Has that been done for Mr. Wamkele Mene's sample? Has it gone through genomic sequencing?
I'm not in the position to confirm that if it's been done, but certainly I know that all the positives that we get from the airport, we do take them through that process.
Right. So it will, even if it hasn't been done, are you telling us that it will be done?
Yes, of course. That's why, because it's a period. So we have the 7 days window to obviously do it. You see, if let me explain something. Our discharge policy is 10 days. You know that. So we are saying that when you are coming to our country, you have to have 3 days, negative test. So when you come to the country and you test positive, then you do the 7 days, which corresponds to our 10 days of discharge. So that's, that's our protocol. Okay. So that's the scientific basis to why we are doing this. But the fact of the matter is that we just want to say that our system is robust, and he's not the only person who has tested positive or negative at the airport. Patients, and we will extend to him all he obviously, and he should comply with the directive.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's important that the public has faith in the system that they are paying a lot of money, to get tested by. Now, this is an antigen test that we're doing at the airport. My understanding is that all things being equal, a PCR test is more sensitive than an antigen test. But the PCR tests that Mr. Wamkele in particular has done were not administered by the system. That's the reason why you don't accept them. Am I right?
Yes, correct.
But if the system...
We don't even know when he did the test.
Right, okay. But in the system...
That is not our protocol in a way. That is not our protocol is that once our system picks you up, it is our system that will validate you.
Yes. So that's what I was coming to. So if the system were to give him a PCR test, then you would trust the results of that, wouldn't you?
Of course, yes.
Okay.
And we have a process that we go through.
Okay, good. Now, you have the sample that he gave at the airport, which if at the time he gave that sample, he was positive, that sample will always test positive. So why don't you simply subject that sample to a PCR test by the system to show that it's still positive so that the public can remain confident in the system at the airport?
I think that we should respect the procedures that we have in the country. Like I've explained, we deal with so many patients, we have our system, we are saying that this is risk reduction that we are doing. I mean, we expect that obviously it is uncomfortable for people when they test positive, but we also have a responsibility to safeguard our citizens. So for this reason, we will always make sure that the protocols are complied to by all persons entering our country, irrespective of status. So what I'm just trying to say is that for his case, obviously, he is still our patient. He is supposed to complete 7 days mandatory isolation, of which we will arrange to do the second test, which we do for all our patients for him.
Right. I'm not sure if I've got an answer to the question I was asking. You're saying we should follow procedure. Does that mean that it would violate procedure to subject the sample he gave to further testing? Would that violate the procedure?
What I'm saying, we don't do exemptions for anyone.
Okay.
We don't do exemptions for anyone.
Okay, everyone I understand.
Is treated equal under our Ghanaian laws.
I understand.
And under our protocols, we treat everyone. We will extend to him all the courtesies that he deserves. Obviously, our doctors will be in touch with him through the Foreign Ministry, as we've been doing currently.
Okay, so I think I understand what you're saying. You wouldn't do that for just one sample. You know, you wouldn't grant an exception. Okay, but you did say that you would do genomic sequencing for every positive case that comes through the airport. Am I right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Correct. Yeah. We do.
So can you keep us informed on that? You don't have the information right now, but can you find out for us if all of these samples have been subjected to genomic sequencing, and if the one in particular that has become a subject of public interest, that is the sample of Mr. Wamkele, if it has gone through genomic sequencing and has also been proved to be positive once again. That would be fair, right?
That would be a management decision to do that. But I think you are right. I mean, I can follow up for you. But what I'm just saying is that we don't want to obviously segregate and obviously have special protocols for people when such things happen.
Yeah.
My only advice is that he is our patient, and we will continue to monitor him on that 7-day period, and we will discharge him according to our protocols. So I can find out for you, but I think that it's obviously the case that we want our protocols to be followed. Right. Because, I mean, since we started testing at the airport, I mean, as of the 28th April, we have tested over 244,851. And obviously, some came positive, others came negative, and we've been able to use this system at the airport to obviously reduce some of the importations that we do have in our country. So I think it is us as Ghanaians to trust what we are doing, to make sure that it is actually, and we know it's working. It's working. From our data, it is really working. And we cannot continue to bastardize our system as a system is not good. Yet it is the same. But Ghana is one of the few countries that we have put this system in place. And since then, it has contributed a lot to our fight in this COVID-19. And it has contributed to the reduction of importation of cases in our country. And we should continue to abide by the country's protocol, regardless of status.
Dr. Abuaje, several things have happened recently which have created a unique situation. First of all, according to the Frontiers company, they've started to register very high numbers, comparatively high numbers on a daily basis. So at some point they had 40 something odd people testing positive in one day. Then it went up to 75 on the 24th of April. This was enough cause for concern for them to write to the Ghana Airport Company. This is unique. It's not that has not been the norm. Secondly, these people who are coming in such large numbers and testing positive are coming from different parts of the world. Some are coming from China, some from the Emirates, from the UK, all over the world. And they are all coming in, and somehow they are testing positive in spite of their PCR tests, which they did within 3 days of traveling, being negative. So this is unique. It's not normal. Now you have some of the people who have been told they are positive complaining and challenging the results because they claim that they've done other tests that came out negative. So would you say that these set of circumstances, when you put them together, there is enough there for the Ghana Health Service to want to check the quality of what is happening at the airport rather than simply relying on its historic reliability?
Thank you. I think let's understand something here. You see, because you tested negative on a PCR, it's not to say that you continue to test negative. There is no guarantee for that. Look, the fact is, today when you test positive, there is nothing to show that tomorrow you test positive or negative. There is nothing to show that you do that. So to me, I think we should always bear in mind that at least we have a system that will be able to detect cases at the airport. And like I said, I mean, obviously, it is also a case that we are dealing with a virus whose incubation period is 2 to 14 days. So you can have it at any time. So there's no justification to say that you tested 3 days time. I mean, you tested negative when you were obviously in your home country and visiting Ghana or coming to Ghana. When you get here, you test negative. No, I mean, even if you look at us who have been traveling. After it's within the last few days that we do our shopping and other things. So you can get the virus anytime. And you see, we are dealing with tighter values here, like we are dealing with the levels. So to me, I think that I still stand on the point that we have one of the best systems at our airports, and we should continue to believe in it. It has helped us a lot in reducing importation. And I mean, we have, if you can see, we have now strengthened even what we have put there. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs has actually issued a directive mandating that if you are coming to our country, you have to obviously upload your certificate, your COVID-19 negative test certificate on the biomass. So these are additional measures that we have put in place to make sure that we check fake certificates as well. Then when you are also going out, it is the same. So I think we have to monitor these systems to see how it will play out. But I believe that we have one of the best defense at our airport, and we should continue to believe and obviously have faith in it. Because, I mean, it's working. It's really working. It's working.
Can you tell us which countries these increased numbers are coming from?
Let me be honest here. You see, I mean, I'm the one in charge of risk communication. Stigma and discrimination is actually something that I will not really want to, obviously. So I don't want to stigmatize any country. I don't want to. The only thing that I want to tell you is that we have the data of the countries that these cases are coming from, and we have put additional measures in place to make sure that we curtail the virus.
Dr. Abuaje, forgive me for interrupting, but this is a global health crisis. Ghanaians continue to travel to many, many countries. If there are countries where the PCR tests are unreliable, according to the Ghana Health Service, should you not be informing Ghanaians so that when they can make decisions about whether to travel to such places or not? For instance, if and you can confirm this for me if I'm inaccurate, but I understand that airlines have been briefed that the majority of the numbers that came in were from China. So if this is the case, should you not inform Ghanaians so that they can make decisions about whether or not to travel to China if it is likely that they are going to come back with a fake or a false negative result from there?
So now, you remember what I told you, we have put in place a system to check fake certificates. So we believe that this system that we've put in place is going to help us. So I'm not going to mention any country, any country to stigmatize any country of this. We have issued travel
Dr. Abuaje,
advisors.
I don't know if this is stigmatizing the country. I mean, I really don't want to travel somewhere and come back and be quarantined for 7 days. I don't want that. Now, as a Ghanaian, should I not be informed that that is likely to happen to me if I travel to a particular place? Also, if we're trying to protect our borders.
So you can obviously do, there are various forms of doing it. You can actually categorize it under continents. Like you can say when traveling to Asia, you have to. But I have a problem mentioning names, and I don't think it conforms to my standard. It's to, the international standards of obviously naming countries. If we were to have alerts to a specific country, That one, yes, I can say that we have alerts to this specific country. I can, but as it stands now, I am not in the position to name countries where cases are coming from. I mean,
do we have alerts to specific countries? Which countries? Which countries do we have alerts to at the moment?
Well, I think we have continents, rather. So I know that of Asia. And I know, yes, I think that's what I remember. I know that.
Right. You said that does not conform to international standards, Dr. Abuaji, yes. But I know that other countries all have nation-specific alerts. So if you go to the US, they have specific alerts about countries you should consider not traveling to because of COVID. The UK has them. All the European countries have them. In fact, the European Union has them. If you go to Asia, China has them, Australia has them, Taiwan has them. So actually, internationally, they are specific.
We have not issued to any specific country. We have not done that. That's what, because you want to know where the cases are coming from. And I am saying that I am not in the position to give you that answer, that the cases are coming from country A or B.
Oh, we've moved on from that. We've moved on from that.
We have issued continent travel advice. That is what we are sticking to.
Right.
So, if it is time for us to issue country-specific advice, we will do that. But as it stands now, we have not done that. We have only issued to continents, and I've mentioned one to you. So my only point is that once we have not issued country-specific, obviously, advice, I am not able to put forward names of countries these cases are coming from.
Okay, so at the moment, Ghanaians are advised not to travel to Asia, right?
I think, and you know what? I mean, all these are also not new. I mean, we do put it on our website and everything. So it's not that they are not, even if some of the Asian countries have even issued advice that their citizens should not actually travel. So you could see that will even be impacting on what is happening at our airports. So what I'm just trying to put forward is that now we have continent-specific alerts. We don't have country-specific alerts.
Right. So to clarify, at the moment, the Ghana Health Service advises Ghanaians not to travel to Asia because of COVID-19. Any other continent?
I think it was issued by the Foreign Affairs Ministry, so it's not the Ghana Health Service. So you have to check from the alert from the Foreign Ministry, not the Ghana Health Service.
Right, right. Thank you for that clarity. Yes. Now, Mr. Wamkele was asked to isolate at home. Why was he not asked to go to a hospital?
No, I think, so we have that protocol as well. Based on assessment, we can ask you to isolate at home, or we'll take you to our facilities. I mean, we have a couple of patients at home. So have you heard of home management? Home management is something that we introduced as part of our COVID management.
Tell us about that assessment. What would determine whether someone will be sent home or not?
Okay, so once you test positive, clinicians will assess you and obviously determine whether they have to keep you in our facility at Ga East and other places, or you will be going or a hotel, or you do home isolation. They would have asked you a couple of questions. So based on those questions, then we determine whether you have to isolate at our facility, home, or a hotel. Right. But once we put you on home isolation, you are under strict observation by maybe you may have a doctor or something who will be liaising with us, or we will send our doctors there to obviously do further assessment and others. So those are some of the things that we do.
Okay. Which hotels are we using?
I think, so sorry, I'm not in a position to give you the names of the hotels, but I think some hotels are part of the exits listed, but I'm not in the position to give you the names.
Okay, you don't have the information, or?
No, I don't have the information.
Right, okay. Thank you. I want you to stay with us, Dr. Abuaji, because this next story is something that you can educate us on as well.